is what I'm looking at here. But as we're into pick and ban for this game number 3, we'll see what they actually end up drafting towards what the teams want to play around here as EG find themselves on the blue side, TSM on the red side, and another Aphelios ban here. This is surprising to me because I've been seeing more priority on things like the Kaisa, even things like Jin, Misfortune, higher up than Aphelios lately, but so far the teams are opting to ban him on blue side.
I think it's a little surprising as well, but the champion still retains a ton of team fighting power. So I think that's a big area that's a concern for a lot of players. And on top of it, well, you have itemization changes that make Aphelios still a bit of a threat, where you've got things like Kraken Slayers, the Hurricanes, making him a big threat. So the champion, I think, has to be looked at again just because of the new items. If anything, that should be the one place where, until we can say, all right, with the optimal items, Aphelios is not better than the top ADs, then we can go back to, all right, Aphelios should not be banned.
It just still feels like the AD carry that you can play around for late game. Kind of Aphelios, Samir are both in that same pool where, you know, you can just try and funnel gold onto them. But rest of the bans here from EG Academy, actually looks like the teams did flip around there. So EG Academy on the red side here, banning out all junglers. Talia, Olaf, Pantheon has also been seeing a lot of jungle play with the new Gore Drinker build. So focused on Babbitt's jungle pool. But guess what Babbitt played yesterday? And it got the fastest level 6. It was this Lilia pick. So getting back to comfort.
There's not that many. There's a lot of junglers you can play to actually have a good time here. I mean, the AP junglers, I think, might be the area that is a little bit more tricky because you want to have AP junglers to pair your laners for AD. So that's an area that I think you have to consider what your laners really like to play more. If you've got laners in your solos that love to play AP champions, then your jungler better be better at AD's picks than AP. And so here, already with the Lilia, I think you can expect to see more APs in the lanes, and on the flip side on EG with contracts, well, you'll have to pair them with magic damage so that you can still have a threat of burst or killing or ganks in any of these combinations.
But it's crazy to think of how deep the jungle meta pool is right now. Nidalee, Talia, Olaf, Pantheon, that's 4 banned out and a 5th picked, and Graves still makes it through, which is just ridiculous to me. But that is what's picked up here by EG Academy, pairing it with that Kaisa. Very quick lock-ins here from TSM Academy. The Renekton and the Xayah, of all things.
Yeah, the Xayah is a weird pick because she's really good at dealing with people trying to jump her with her ultimate, of course, but she's not that good at just hardcore smashing someone. Right? Like if you jump her, like she can deal with you, but can she press the advantage on her own? Not really. It's not a champion like a Kaisa, right? Who's very good at, say, tower diving somebody by themselves if they're really low and can press the advantage and see the opportunity. So I need to see the pairing with the Xayah to be really exciting. Maybe the Rakan, maybe the Alistar, or something that is aggressive so that she can be enabled and go in. Because otherwise, she's going to be farming out all lane, just chilling, and the Rakan gets targeted. So EG already recognizes we could actually pick on this Xayah and have a TSM with a useless bottom lane.
And there are still great engaged supports to pair with the Kaisa right now, so they could still go with the Leona. They still could go. Rel can see some success, but even Nautilus has been coming back into favor with the Kaisa builds. But no focus on supports for TSM Academy. Instead, they ban out the Sylas.
Yeah, okay, Sylas ban already. Red flags firing in my head. 2 picks that Sylas often picked against. Malphite top, Twisted Fate in the middle lane. Can be blinded or picked into a lot of other things, but those 2 are a big deal. So Renekton
and there's the
probably
TF
going
ban.
to the top lane. I think the Twisted Fate, yeah, that's to me what made the most sense. Like if you're banning out the Sylas, you want to pinch that, and now we're moving past those 2 picks and seeing what else is up.
I still would love the Malphite. You name dropped that. I think that champion is critically overlooked from a lot of top laners in LCS and Academy as well. But maybe against Anar, the range matchup could be rough. But we'll see what they decide to lock in top lane. It will be EG Academy with their next pick. I expect an engaged support. Leona would pair very well right now. You could still go with something like the Nautilus. Just anything to really enable this Kaisa, because Kaisa just pairs so well with teams and compositions that can provide additional CC for her passive so she can jump in. But it looks like they actually, well, they're just hovering it, so we won't put too much weight onto this hover. But nope, they are out of time. It's okay. Syndra locked in. Blind pick mid lane.
I like it. I like it because it's paired with the Graves. It has synergy already with the champions that they have. By itself, it might be punished in lane, right? Somebody can Sword might be able to go Echo, right? Now you have a decent time into the Syndra. You even have kill threat. So there are things that TSM can play, but it now allows Shoryu, Contracts, and Jojo Pion to play together with increased synergy had he gone with another pick. So Leona gets blinded here.
I'm not super impressed. I feel like you could leave that up because if TSM Academy grabs Syndra, that's AP mid, AP jungle. You just grab Galio mid at that point. But I don't know. They don't pay me to be smart about the game. I just get excited about it. So Leona and Orianna are the lock-ins here. Orianna into Syndra. Really, we got to watch it. What is this, season 6? But the Leona picked up here does make sense from TSM Academy, taking it away from Mystiques and what he likes to play.
I think Mystique's locking Maokai right now. I think Maokai would be a great pick here in the lane against the Leona. It would be sick into the team fight because a Maokai ultimate can just force even something like a Xayah ultimate and lock down the most pesky champion in the game right now, the Lilia. It's going to be the Alistar instead. Just going to go with the tried and true, simple to execute, not a lot of gimmicks in the laning phase, Alistar. But we've got a really explosive composition for both of these teams, Kangas. I think they can both do quite a bit.
There's a lot of engaged potential from both sides, which I like to see because that signals to me we're going to have an explosive game. But we're ready to hop in onto the Rift for this game number 3 of the day, TSM Academy versus EGA Academy. And when I look at the compositions outside of just engage, I also see some really cool carries to go along with those engage options. The Xayah is something that we don't see too often, but I want to just take a little bit more time to talk about what she's good at, because she can output an insane amount of damage, and I have been seeing the Xayah build going for crit and going for the Gale Force so that you can reposition, get your feather recalls. So that I'm just throwing that out there. I'm assuming Cody Sun will go for that, but we'll see with all the tankies of Alistar and Nara as well. Might want to go for a little more damage from Kraken Slayer. But with that, regardless, also very defensive AD carry. You can output damage, but if the Alistar jumps on you, if Shoryu tries to jump on you with the Kaisa, you have that ultimate, and you can just, boom, take yourself out of the fight, reposition, and then get right back into it while your front line kind of repositions and reshuffles everybody around.
That's the key. If they jump him, if they jump the Xayah, he can reposition. What happens if they don't? Can Cody Sun be aggressive with the ultimate, with the feather callers? Because that's also an area that when Xayah was highly meta, we would see the best Xayahs be able to do. You know, when they use the ultimate and then in the middle of their stasis, they flash forward and then pull the feathers back and do so much damage that way. That's the kind of mechanics you want to see out of Xayah if you're really going to be playing her right now.
And out of Cody Sun as a player, because we haven't quite mentioned a lot of the rosters for either of these teams, but TSM side, we got a lot of returning veterans here, or at least specifically Haunser and Cody Sun. These are two players that have been around for quite a while. Cody Sun, he's gone to Worlds multiple times. Now finds himself in North American Academy League. Definitely a player that wants to show up and prove himself here, having spoken with him in the past. So Xayah, definitely a champ you can have some skill expression on, but we've noticed Jojo Pion actually getting a good trade against Sword in the mid lane here, and that's kind of what we expect from the Syndra into the Orianna lane in the first few levels.
The funny thing about this matchup is that both are packing phase rush, so they just trade and then run away from each other. Trade and then auto.
Both junglers are as well, so
run away.
It's gonna be some speedy champs on the Rift this game.
We could even have the Alistar with a phase rush. Could have been a whole phase rush family.
True, that is actually. I feel like I see phase rush more on Alistar these days than I do the Aftershock, just because you already have that ultimate. You're already going to be building tanky anyway, and that phase rush just helps you stick on the tough members, specifically that Lilia. But either way, going to have those extra tanky stats. We see Jojo Pion actually taking a very early back here. Just wants to get that tier so you can start stacking it as quickly as you can. And actually will stop the back here of Sword. That's huge.
That's big, because now if he might be able to actually shove this wave, crash it into the turret, and have him lose some more. So, I mean, he took a turret shot for that. He does have his little flasks available, so he won't lose for it. But he does get to make it first to this fight, which could be what matters.
Yep. Now and also top lane. Tony Top is here as well. Babip's in a really tough position, but actually Jojo Pion's backing off. Sword comes in. Now Sword could be in a 1v2 position. Tony Top holding the line while Sword taking a lot of damage. Has the flash available. Has to use it. Flash forward by Contracts. Following Sword down.
Whoa.
Can't quite find him. Babip over the wall. So is Haunser. Contract goes down. First blood over to TSM.
That looked like a match of Twisted Tree Line in the top of the river. Just a 3-on-3 bonanza. And I really feel okay. So much of it was dictated by Jojo Pion being here first, but Babip is so strong right now. He has a level lead over Contract, so already that's a big deal. Okay, Contract levels up now, but it's already too late as the rest of TSM is now here, particularly the Renekton, the big threat. And then that flash for Contracts was not expecting Sword to run that way. You would have thought, oh, Sword should path back to the tower, as most people do. Wrong. In that situation, he would have died. If you path to your teammates when you're in trouble, you can ensure that if something happens, they'll be able to help you out. So that was a right response from Sword that ended up getting Renekton first blood.
I also think that was a misplay from Jojo Pion. That Syndra had pretty much full mana, had all cooldowns, but walks away because he's afraid of a level 4 Orianna? I mean, what's Sword going to do to really threaten you in that moment? You had Tony Top coming down. You could have 3-man pincered Babip, blown up Lilia, and then taken the 3v2 afterward and fight Sword and Hanser. It just felt like Jojo Pion was playing way too scared in that instance.
There's so many ways to look at that 3v3 and think of different ways that somebody could have played, right? Movements, spells, summoners, all of these different things, call outs, right? Because we only see the moves, then we gotta be in the mind of the player and know that they're making call outs as well, and that's getting into the play. So at the very least, though, they now have an advantage in the top lane with the Renekton double buffs. If they can only path this Gnar up here, they could actually go for a dive on him because they're going to hit Renekton level 6 before Gnar does. And if you can crash the wave while he's mini, you get a really easy kill.
Also has a sizable CS advantage right now with the wave shoving in. So Hanser in a really powerful position in this matchup. We've already seen the Renekton versus Gnar. If the Renekton can get ahead, it becomes very hard for Gnar to actually deal with him. Even though you have that range advantage, you know, Renekton always has that flash stun or just the slice and dice stun to lock you down and mix damage between him and Lilia, plus the chain CC. Makes it really tough for a Gnar to actually deal with that, but he'll just try and freeze this wave, I suppose. Does he actually shove it out? Hanser's stuck around. Tony Top does not realize that. Oh, he's shoving the wave, but now here comes Hanser. Doesn't actually find that much damage, but just scares Tony Top off a little bit.
Oh, and neither of these top laners has based yet. You got Doran's items for both, so it's really tough for them to want to start making action in their side of the map just because they haven't spent the gold for the items that would give them the damage to pop their opponent. So until they base, I think both junglers should know, hey, all right, I'm not going to waste my time up here. These guys are still on starting items.
Same thing with the bot laners. I guess we have seen Cody's son get it back in, but Shoryu taking that extra bit of time. But we'll go for it back here shortly, probably after this wave. Although Babip is in the area and Dragon is spawning, so if Shoryu goes for it back, that's probably just a free objective. And TSM are calling that. They're saying, yeah, we got the shove bot side. Shoryu is not going to be a threat in terms of damage, so yeah, just get a free objective.
Okay, I mean, it is a good timing because you know that the blue buff is up from EG, so even though Graves can be in the area, you anticipate that he'd be distracted doing the camps, and the mid laner isn't there, bot lane is shoved in, and the Gnar, while he is level 6 and with teleport, hasn't base and doesn't have any gold, so you're really not in a threat of this dragon being fought over, so it's a nice little sneak, and it'll be a really nice one to get because the laning phase is still going, it's still slow, and an ocean dragon this early on can be nice to keep you in there.
Help with the mana sustain specifically for this Orianna, who has been struggling here. Jojo Pion finds himself with a 20 goal or CS lead rather, and also got that tier much faster because of that cheater recall, and then putting Sword further behind. Yeah, Sword got that 1 assist, so the stack on Dark Seal feels good, but overall Jojo Pion is still doing a great job during the early portions of this laning phase. Gets the shove constantly, now roaming up here with contracts, just making sure that these scuttles go down. And they might even go for an invade or a double gank topside here. Yeah, contracts walking in. Hanser could be in trouble. Doesn't have flash up quite yet. It's going to be a couple more seconds, but there's no CC to stop him from just walking away.
Oh, Leona's here.
Flash, Zenith play, jumps right into the enemy team. There's the Lilia ultimate. Drowsy in onto Graves. Mystique has joined in as well. It's a 5v4. Tony Top actually gets the first kill onto Fizzy of all people. Leona goes down, but because of the Xayah just shredding through, TSM will win the fight 2-for-1.
they thought they had a way to fight that because the Alistar was there, but TSM was way further ahead on this play. Their bot lane was here. It wasn't just a support. Xayah made it into the mix, and that made a big difference because you saw the confidence with which they just threw themselves at EG. It was a play for the Rift Herald that turned into this fight, and that was the timing that EG was not thinking about there. Going for that play into the top side while the Rift Herald was a possibility and the bottom lane was recalled meant that the only way out for them after they passed into the lane would have been through the lane. When they returned into the river, this was when there's danger. Because look at that, Cody's son is here. This is a 5-on-3 on the side of TSM. When Mystique joins in, it's like, yeah, you've got the Gnar ultimate, but you don't have crazy AoE to take these members down. You don't have the DPS of your Kai'Sa here. So it was a flashy Alistar engage, but that will cost a flash and a lot of gold.
Also an incredible shockwave from Sword there at the end of that fight. I thought it was Cody's son. I was looking at the Xayah like, oh yeah, Feather's going out, but no, it was actually Orianna pumping out the majority of that damage during that fight. So well played by TSM Academy. We used to call that, I remember back in the day, Crumbs, we called that the Dignita or the Clutch Gaming special back before they even rebranded. Yeah. That was a classic play they would do. They just sent all 5 members to the first Rift Herald as soon as it spawned, and then win the fight and get the Herald. And that seems like exactly what TSM Academy just did there, grouping up, getting that objective. Now, what do they get with it is the next question, because Babbitt picked it up. Jungler can bring it anywhere on the map. So where do they want to funnel that plate gold into?
Well, the decision to use the Herald now gets changed because the lanes have been flipped entirely. So normally you'd think, all right, well, if using it to the top side frees up your top laner to teleport down and help a dragon fight, but the lane assignment is entirely different now. So I think that using it for the mid lane is just the safest choice when you're not really sure about pushing down any of these side lanes. Just guarantee it, get some gold there, and it's always nice to take turret plates or turret damage against someone like a Syndra that is going to be having such an easy time wave clearing with her Scatter the Weak and Dark Spheres.
Getting that longer lane for Sword to play around means that it's no longer going to be such a one-sided matchup between the two. But Tony Top could be in some trouble here. Oh, almost gets hit by the bowling ball, but not quite. Contracts. Oh, the predictive solar flare from Fizzy with the Zenith Blade follow-up. Contracts, you just got outplayed, buddy. What a call from Fizzy, and they get Tony Top too. That's 2 quick pickups here for TSM Academy. That was some great play.
It really was. They had this sneak through the brush. Everybody was collapsing, right? Leona and Orianna joined together. Both sides of TSM's jungle and mid and top and support went together. Right? It was 2 people jumping one at the same time. And that's what you want to see when you're going into the river, when you're trying to make plays in Fog of War. Group up. That way, when you find someone eventually, you're just as quick to retaliate, to deal damage, and you found that one pick. Because if Orianna wasn't that close to Leona, she wouldn't be able to flash forward and chase the Graves deeper. Graves could have gotten away, but because they were grouped, they get even more kills.
TSM Academy moving as a group, moving as a team, as a unit. And yeah, let's just get another look at this. Like, oh, just a thing of beauty.
Great prediction there. And then the sleep onto the Gnar. There was just no business on the side of evil geniuses to make anything around the bottom side of the map, to even path down there. They were thinking about the dragon, but there has not been a lot of attention into the top lane. It is all about supports when you've got Alistar and Leona. And it's no surprise, Kangas, towards the end of last year, we started to see that the red side and even blue side was using last pick or counter picks more and more in the support role, and they kept giving you a giant advantage, whether it's freeing up the support to roam or just the confidence to have a power pick that the player is comfortable on. Taking supports late has become an increasingly important way to play professional League of Legends.
And Fizzy's shown us what he can do on the Leona pick in particular. Some great plays. Excited to see going forward what else he can do in this game, because it ain't over yet, Crumbs. That dragon was picked up here by EG. They get one under their belt, which prevents TSM from hitting that Dragon's Soul win condition a little bit quicker. And it looks like I didn't actually catch which Dragon's Soul we are going to have here. My assumption would be Cloud Drake. just because of the current hue of the
We
map
got Infernal.
Oh, we do get Infernal.
We got an
Okay.
Infernal map.
Well, Infernal on Syndra and Graves and Kaisa is a little terrifying. Honestly, on either of these team comps, that's definitely one of the more terrifying ones to see here. That extra bit of burst, that extra bit of damage will be insane. But so far, it looks like it's TSM, regardless of losing that one dragon, in control here. They get the siege topside, they're sieging mid, and just slowly whittling down these outer turrets.
You know what can be just as terrifying, though? This dear lady, Babip, or Lilia rather, the Moonstone Renewer build on Lilia is something I'd like to talk about, because Moonstone Renewer is kind of the new Athene's Holy Grail, where Athene's Unholy Grail, you would cast a spell on somebody and you heal them. You don't need to target anybody anymore with the Moonstone Renewer. You automatically target somebody next to you, and every 2 seconds that you're in combat, you kind of refresh that healing. Because Lilia's skills apply an passive dot, damage over time, they actually count as you remaining in combat. So you can just keep refreshing the Moonstone Renewer every time you hit a spell. You hit 2 instances of the healing of it, because it triggers in a window of 3 seconds on your 2-second dot. So Lilia with this item can keep the sustain of their team surprisingly high. And even if EG finds a way to get all the Infernal Dragons in this game, the Lilia can be a healer to mitigate that damage.
Yeah, the heals from Lilia, shields even from Orianna. So while they do have the front line of the Leona Renekton, rather, becomes even that much harder to burn through from EG. But we'll see what their chances are here, as they don't seem too interested in contesting this Rift Herald. EG's letting that go over. And that will be picked up here by TSM Academy. So full Rift Herald control. They still rotate I guess only 4 members. Hansu's got TP, so 4.5 members over here to secure that one. But yet again, they have more pressure for these outer turrets. And I also want to talk a little bit about the build. You mentioned Babip. I want to talk now about Cody's son, because I have seen Xayah win rate been increasing with the Gale Force build, but now going for the Kraken Slayer will just be outputting insane damage on the front line. If Mystiques goes in, if Tony Tops goes in, and they're not able to find the perfect engage, it's going to be really hard to survive. But here's an engage on the top side. There we go. Contract's in a lot of trouble. He is burning down from the Lilia. Is it going to be enough? Oh, just barely not. That's got to be single-digit health right there.
That red buff really coming in clutch for Contracts, but that move out of Fizzy was so confident. I love to see this from our Academy supports. Flash Zenith Blade into the ultimate, which, mind you, was actually going to miss because of the Merc Shreds of Contracts, but then actually hit because the Shockwave pulled him back to the location. So, neat little interaction. Ooh, nice.
Mystique's going forward, trying to find that engage on a Fizzy as well, but won't find it. Fizzy's just got the fancy feet, man. He's going too quick. I actually opted for the Merc Treads. Typically on the supports these days, I see more either Swifties or Moby Boots, especially if you're a tanky engage support, just so you can get around and find those plays more. That's what we see on Mystiques, but Fizzy saying no, there's enough CC on the enemy team that I am worried about that. So I need to be up. I need to be in these fights, pressing that Q, stunning key targets like Shoryu, who might try and dive onto my backline. So
I would agree with that. There is a lot of crowd control on the side of EG. I mean, you normally wouldn't think of it because it's not in every single member, but the ones that they have it is pretty insignificant. So Syndra, Scatter the Weak, Gnar with his 2 stuns, Alistar as well. So the fact that Leona can free herself up from that and then apply her own stuns just only serves to help Cody, Sword, and the rest of their carries.
And also then you don't have to worry about too much magic resist elsewhere in your build, because you get a decent amount right there to deal with Jojo Pyun, which means you can frontline, which she's going to have to do here. Dragon started up by Evil Geniuses. This is the first Infernal of the stacking Infernals. Heralds drop mid. This is how I like to see Rift Heralds used around the Dragon, but Mystique tries to force the engage. Goes in onto Babip, who has to flash out of the Dragon Pit, but will still go down. Sure, you had the damage. Contracts was there as well. Now, no jungler means an easy Dragon pickup by Evil Geniuses. Monsters and 2 pickups for EG. That was the kind of play they needed to get back in.
There were 2 fights happening in that event around Dragon, because we had a 4v4 with Fizzy not able to engage, not having sufficient vision for his flash, but then Renekton and Gnar were 1v1ing. And TSM ends up walking away with the objective win anyways because their waves were shoved out. So
Yep.
the initial fight normally would want to have the Renekton involved in the flank, but this time around it was EG who sees the opportunity. Another flash engage from the Alistar, chucking Lilia into the pit was a really cool move there because the carries were there. That positioning was actually perfect. The Graves and Kai'Sa are there, Syndra can get away from it, and no one on the side of TSM can retaliate.
A lesser Alistar player would have tried to headbutt pulverize combo multiple members, but not Mystique's, man. He goes, I got flash, I can knock him up, and then reposition Babib, the Lilia, who doesn't have the ability to get over that wall unless she uses flash. And even then, sure, you had the damage to follow up, so really well played by Mystique's there, setting up his team to just destroy that enemy jungler, get that dragon. But like you said, TSM had that shoved wave mid. They got not only the outer turret, but also the inner turret and multiple jungle camps, as well as eventually this top outer turret. So at the end of the day, yeah, they lose out on the dragon, but net gold, I still feel like they're coming out ahead on this play.
I think so too, and taking that mid-tier 2 makes it so much easier for them to control Evil Genius's red side of the jungle, which will lead to Baron. Meantime, though, Contracts will walk away from chasing Crocodiles. We'll think better of it.
Mystique's looking for the engage. Ooh, gets stunned before he can pulverize. Fizzy, real quick with the fingers right there. So no engage will come through from Evil Geniuses. They thought they had it because they see Sword without TP in the top side, and sure, he was already rotating down, but because they don't find the engage, now Sword can't catch that wave. Or sorry, now sure you can't catch that wave, so Sword will get the turret. TSM yet again coming out on top.
And there actually was a little bit of opportunity there for Babib to ult the Syndra because, yeah, Orianna isn't there, but Alistar just uses combo, and neither is Gnar because he's also in mini form and in front of the Renekton. So they're just going to play it super safe and say, yeah, we are getting advantages. We're getting gold in our carries, we're getting turrets. We don't actually need to take these fights that we don't know exactly what the terms of the fight are going to be. So they don't risk it. They just say, we're happy with this pace, right? We wouldn't, if we don't change anything and we keep this up, we're going to win the game. And oftentimes when the team falls into that mode, that's when they start just being methodical and minimizing their mistakes.
And this is how TSM played yesterday, too. They looked really clean in the early game, on the same page, making these rotations, getting the turrets down, pushing waves. The problem is they're against Cloud9 Academy, who drafted the scum that is Seraphine Channa bot lane, and just lost in the late game. But they don't have to worry about that against EG's composition, because EG, while they do have scaling options, it's not like if we hit 30 minutes, we are unkillable. Whoa. And now TSM just find another play here. The sleep onto 2 members. Mystique's trying to be that front line, but the carries of Tony Top and Shorey are pushed away. Mystique's can't survive forever, even as Alistar, even with that Aftershock rune, does still go down. TSM, they get another turret for their troubles after getting that win. They just cannot lose a fight right now, Crumbs.
That was a very squishy Alistar. Didn't have the ultimate, but did have that Aftershock, and Cody's son deleted him. And that might actually be the cue for TSM to go for this Baron. The top lane is crashed. The Syndra might be able to get caught. Even if they don't get much here.
Oh! Flash Zenith's Blade, even with Scatter the Wake, Jojo Pune should go down, almost trades it back on a Babib, and Shoryu actually completes that kill, will pay it with his own life. Jojo Pune trying to do what he can. Sword with the aggressive flash board. Jojo Pune has a flashback. Contracts now says, I'll chase you down, Orianna, without your flash. Thank you for the donated gold, my friend. EG fighting back despite being in a pretty sizable gold deficit.
It's good that they're showing signs of life and committing summoners to these fights because the gold is going in the right places. The Graves and the Kai'Sa can be a menace in the late game, as we've already seen in our first game of the day today with the legendary Potluck Graves. And here, that fight actually nets them the position around the dragon, which is a big deal. Being able to be on Infernal Soul, having started and played most of this game through a deficit, is something that TSM definitely was not counting on, and it surely is giving EG some signs of hope in this game, because if they can get that, then the poke of a champion like a Graves, a Syndra, or a Kai'Sa can actually be really nasty and be strong enough to just set you up to win any fight.
And this was TSM that opted into this play. They thought they had Jojopyun alone, but Shoryu actually is here. Just runs past Sword and Fizzy, says, all right, if you're going to leave Babip to die, I'll take him out. And then yet again, TSM thinks, okay, well, again, Jojopyun's got to be alone, right? He doesn't have teammates. This isn't a 5v5 game. The contract's reminding us that no, junglers do in fact exist and roam around the map to help out their laners. So he gets there, backs him up, and gets another kill for it. And that Dragon Soul, the first Infernal Drake was because of an insane play by Mystiques. That flash pulverized into the headbutt repositioning. That second one was because of a play TSM actually opted into. And Crumbs, we're on Soul Point. If EG find one more opportunity to take that, despite being at this goal disadvantage, their composition is terrifying. We already highlighted the burst that a Syndra can provide along with the Graves. You add in the Infernal Dragon Soul procs onto that, whew, that's a scary amount of damage.
Yeah, think about it. You've got the Kaisa W into, say, Boulder Toss from Gnar with Scatter the Weak, Graves. No one has to commit more than 1 or 2 spells, and you can burst a squishy member very easily. So TSM needs to recognize this and try to set themselves up to get a fight. We're going to go for another skirmish over this dragon, but EG has everyone, and Renekton's not here yet.
TSM are just hard forcing these fights. Tony Top with a huge Gnar ultimate. Shoryu jumps onto the backline. Cody-san, where's your ult now? And he actually doesn't need it. Never mind, Shoryu's actually the one that goes down. As TSM, with Hanser flanking, turned the fight around. A double kill to the Renekton. That did not go how EG or myself expected. TSM turned the fight.
They saw the giant Gnar ultimate with everybody piled onto it, but then they didn't realize, hey, that's a 2v3. It's only Gnar and Kaisa against multiple members, and they don't have enough damage to just one-shot whoever gets CC'd. So, yeah, it looked kind of cool, but they instantly turned onto the Kaisa, and she did not stand a chance. While Cody did not have the ultimate, it didn't matter. Kaisa was not fed enough. There was no Syndra or Graves follow-up, and that was just the big difference, because if anybody else would have helped, I think it would have been a really big fight. So smoke screen's already down. That's a big deal, though. Using that cooldown this early on is going to affect things. Alistar Q is down, so then when Tony Top goes in here, the rest of the members got Shockwave, and they don't have an easy way to help Shoryu collapse because all those cooldowns were spent earlier. Imagine if something like a smoke screen was able to be used later there, or anything else. So close. No cigar, like Graves.
And that's one of those plays where if Shoryu had his Runaan's already completed, could have been very different, because he got at least 3 to 4 auto attacks off before he went down. If that had been onto all 3 members, maybe he can shred through a little bit more, do some more damage, but the shockwave from Sword right before Tony Top's Gnar ultimate came through is really what clutched that out, because it stalled the rest of EG from following up on the play, and did just a chunk of damage for Hanser to then clean up. So now TSM shoving in this top wave with that Baron buff they secured after winning the fight. They don't need Dragon Soul to win this game. A lot of times people really hard tunnel on that, like, oh yeah, Dragon Soul's a win condition, but hey, you can always just run down these turrets with the Baron buff, and ended that way, and that seems to be TSM Academy's game plan.
You can always just win instead of going for the objectives.
It's surprise, so. Yeah, I know. It's really, oftentimes you don't think about it that way, but it's sometimes simple.
Well, it is simple, yet at the same time, the game keeps changing so much every time that it is difficult to get a feel for the moments where you can actually close out a game, because it's constantly changing with every single meta, with every single patch. And here's an engage.
No, just the Lily asleep. All followed up with the Solar Flare. Shoryu has to cleanse to get to safety. Re-engage onto Fizzy, but again, tanky Leona. Abilities used. Jojopyun still has ultimate, though, so TSM need to respect the burst potential. EG need to hold out for another 45 seconds. They're just giving up the inhibitor. They're trying to get Hanser instead. Hanser, as Renekton, trying to be tanky, trying to get onto Shoryu. Shoryu jumps out, jumps back in. Shoryu, what are you doing? Hanser's, is he going to live? There's no way, right? He's trying to heal up. Not going to happen. Shut down. But still, the rest of TSM Academy are just ending the game. EG forgot that they can just end the game. But they do come back and will actually prevent the final push here. But TSM, they still have the Baron buff. They might just stick around.
Oh, man. There might have even been a stopwatch on the Renekton in that play. Could have maybe even survived and done some more, but Shoryu is just so far behind. He's about to be Flame Horizon in CS by Cody-san, which is really not where you want to be. Another reason why that Kaisa follow-up did not pan out. But we also see the Renekton's strength. Even if you don't focus him, he can always one-shot your squishies.
Yep. And it's just, I've been there. My roommate's an 80 carry main. We do all the time. You flash away as Kaisa, and then you go back in and just die immediately. But never mind, Contract just gets caught out in the jungle here. Solar Flare will lock him down. Hanser with the teleport. He gets onto the backline trying to get Jojo Pyun. Shoryu runs in, trying to do that damage. There's that stopwatch, keeping Hanser alive as Babip on the flank. Cody-san staying alive. Tony Top can't quite find that big game-ending play that he was hoping for, and pays with his life. The rest of EG now fighting under their turret. Shoryu will go down with the last bit of damage that he can, but it is not enough. TSM run down the base of Evil Geniuses. Jojo Pyun, the last remaining member, will take down Babip, but there's nothing else to be found here. TSM with a very clean game, closing it out, showing you don't need the Dragon Soul. You don't even need Baron at the end of the game. All you need to do is take down that Nexus. TSM win their game.
A commanding victory out of them, and the top lane of Hanser and the veteran in Cody-san, the two pros or longtime pros on the TSM Academy roster, really turned up. Massive CS leads on both of them, constantly creating pressure for their lanes and team fighting quite well. So it looks like they're finding their groove in the Academy, kind of the way that they have to play, because that's usually what happens when players are switching between leagues. They have to get adjusted to what kind of champions work best. You're like, do you need to always play hard carry? Should be a little bit more passive. They think they found a right balance. Cody with a champion that has self-peel, and Hanser with something that can really push the tempo if need be.
Yeah, this game looks so much better from Hanser than the game yesterday. He played Gangplank. He was like 3-1-2 at one point, but just couldn't clutch out the game against Cloud9 because it got too late. This time around, though, on the Renekton, multiple insane plays where he's just buying time. Like at the end there, he just wasted, 20 seconds of EG's time while he just didn't die in the mid lane. Still got the trade kill onto Shoryu while his team was just pounding down those turrets. I know that at that point the game was pretty much already close to being done, but EG, they just could not find a way to deal with the Renekton in the side lane, and then when they grouped up for the fights, it felt like they just weren't out executing TSM. They were constantly getting destroyed by these shockwaves, despite Tony Top finding some pretty clutch gnarls.
Yeah, and that big gnarl, I think the first one was that top lane fight where TSM's macro play ended up creating a big advantage for them. The Rift Herald swap, that 8-minute swap, they thought, oh yeah, sure, we could take a fight here. Let's go for a gank. 8 minutes, nothing happens here. TSM bot lane is there and just wipes them.
Yeah, that's what we've seen from TSM so far, which is really impressive. If I'm ranking who's got the best communication so far in this very, very early Week 1 split, Immortals, TSM. These are the two that I'm really looking at, and no surprise, they're both winning games. TSM did lose yesterday, but it was a close one, and this time it was much more definitive. They did not give up that lead. They weren't really, losing out on any of these fights. There was a couple awkward plays around that red buff, but hey, they kept turning them around in their favor and winning out afterwards. So this is a great way to start your season as a roster. A couple veterans, couple new faces, and a lot of potential going forward. But we're going to send it over to a short break while we get ready for an interview with one of the players from the winning team TSM Academy. You're not going to want to miss it, so don't go anywhere.